There has been a lot of movement in the Pokemon singles market, specifically in the Scarlet and Violet era. The majority of these cards have had major declines, and some of them have actually done really well. And today we're going to be looking at 10 cards that are set to boom in the near future from the Scarlet and Violet era. So let's dive in. So the first card we're going to be looking at is Gastly from Temporal Forces. And I have touched on this card earlier in the year, and it's just a magnificent card. And it is really, really affordable right now because it's gone down from $26 all the way to $20. So we're down 21.88%. But just to look at this card quickly here before we talk about the pricing and all that, it is magnificent, specifically for a Gen 1 card in the Scarlet and Violet era. I just love these cards. Gengar, Meowth, Gastly, Haunter, they're all just doing their thing. Got the moon in the background here. It's just an awesome card, and I really need to get it here for my own collection. I haven't pulled it, and I need to add it because I just love this card. But going back to the price here, in the last 3 months, we've seen double-digit declines down to 21.88%. This is a good opportunity to grab this card, and because it's a Gen 1 Pokemon and it is a beautiful card in my opinion, it should go back up in the future. So $20.50 for this Gastly from Temporal Forces, a beautiful card, and if you can pick it up for that price, I definitely would, because I do see this card doing well in the future. The next card we're going to look at is Bulbasaur from Stellar Crown. Yes, the recent set that came out. It's been out for about a month now, and this one has had a major decline, of course. Now, it isn't the best way to look at it because usually when there's a card that is out for about, let's say, 3 weeks or a month, they tend to come out with this heavy price point, which was at $53, as we can see here, and then have that major decline and slowly start to make your way up. But what does that mean for you? Well, there's a chance, of course, to buy it. If it's gone down from $50 to about $32, which I personally think is the bottom for this beautiful Bulbasaur card, it is an opportunity for you to buy this. And I think Bulbasaur should be one of the top 4 from Stellar Crown, as it is a Gen 1 Pokemon. It is one of the starter Pokemon, and it goes really well with, of course, the Charmander and Squirtle card, which we'll be talking about later on today. But I just love the concept of him just taking a nap on the windowsill and the Pidgey just coming into the house ready to cause some havoc here, if you want to call it that. It's just a really well done card. And again, as I said, this is going currently for $33. It's really underpriced in my honest opinion, as Stellar Crown is relatively new, and this is a card that is set to boom in the future. Bulbasaur from Stellar Crown. Next up is Squirtle from Stellar Crown. Of course, we can't talk about Bulbasaur without Squirtle, and I am not going in any specific order here. I have picked 10 cards that I feel should do relatively well in the future, and this one over here is, of course, a part of that list as well. $51.32 in August, which was when it was about the time of the release. Of course, this is the pre-release date, and then we've got down to $41.08, so down about 20%. Not as bad as the Bulbasaur, but still down 20%. Squirtle is actually, in my opinion, the nicer card of the two of them, and it is the number 2 card from Stellar Crown currently, and it is just a gem of a card. $41. I don't see this card going down any further. Of course, when there is a reprint or restock, which is way in the future, of course, because this set has only been out for about a month now, maybe we'll see a bit of a decline. But I think at that point the card would have gone back up to those $50 mark, around that $50 mark, that is, and then it may have a little bit of a dip. But $41 is not too bad. This is an opportunity to pick this card up. It is, again, a beautiful card. Squirtle just in his little pool here with the Pidgeys, again, hanging out together. Beautiful card. I think this is a must-have from Stellar Crown. And in my honest opinion, Squirtle and Bulbasaur are the top 2 cards from Stellar Crown. If it wasn't for the SIRs, and maybe, you never know, maybe the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur could take them over. That's a bit of a stretch, of course, because Terrapuga's EX is doing really well currently, above that $100 mark, that is. But Squirtle and Bulbasaur, in my opinion, are the top 2 cards from Stellar Crown, and Squirtle is currently sitting in number 2, so it's right up there with where it should be, of course. So Squirtle from Stellar Crown, again, one of the cards set to boom in my opinion, and it's one that you want to pick up. Moving into some cards from Shrouded Fable now, and I know you're all thinking, why Shrouded Fable? Because Shrouded Fable is like the worst set from the Scarlet and Violet era, and in my opinion, and in most people's opinion, it is. But that being said, there are a couple of cards that are actually really nice from this set, and they are difficult to pull. So Houndoom is one of them. So Houndoom from Shrouded Fable, which is actually doing relatively well. So we were down to about $12. Like, this card had a major decline, and then it kind of increased back up to that $24 mark, and now is sitting around $20. So it's up 60% since its release, and that's a pretty heavy climb if you ask me. And it is actually a really nice card. Houndoom, it's not my favorite card from Shrouded Fable, but it is some people's chase, of course, and it's a nice card. You got him there with the shadows of the other Houndooms. It is actually a well done card, and as I said, Shrouded Fable, it is not the preferred set of the Scarlet and Violet era, and of course it is a holiday set, or a specialty set that is, and there's no booster box, which makes it even more difficult to pull this card. And this is why I've included it in my top 10 list here, because although this set isn't the greatest, there are going to be a few singles that will do well, and I think Houndoom is one of them. So since we're talking about Shrouded Fable, it's Persian that is the #1 card in my honest opinion from Shrouded Fable, and it is actually a beautiful card. Him just hanging out there in the condo or the apartment overlooking the city, that is. And this one has had a bit of a decline here. So we're around the $40 mark when it first released, and it's down to around that $22 mark, down about 44%. A great opportunity to buy this card. Honestly, I'm going to be straight with you guys here. Shrouded Fable is probably the worst set from the Scarlet and Violet era, but even with the worst sets, there are going to be 1 or 2 chase cards that people will really like, and I feel that Persian and Houndoom are those 2 cards. They should take the #1 and 2 spots. I know currently it's Earthen Vessel, the trainer card, but once that card is out of rotation, is no longer playable, that card will dip significantly, and these cards will slowly make their way back up to those #1 and 2 spots. And as I mentioned with the Houndoom, Shrouded Fable is not an easy set to pull from, which makes these cards a little bit more sought after. So specifically, the cards from Shrouded Fable, a bit of a gamble here, but in all honesty, these are the 2 cards that I would be going for from Shrouded Fable if I'm going to touch that set, that is. So Persian from Shrouded Fable, also a good pickup, also down 44%, significant percent decline here. And again, even if you're not looking to invest, or you're just looking to master your set, or just want specifically this card in your collection, great time to buy, that is. Next up is Chansy from Twilight Masquerade, and we've moved into Twilight Masquerade, one of my favorite sets and one of the top sets from the Scarlet and Violet era. And Chansy is a beautiful card, and I've talked about this card before. I love the concept of having multiple Pokemon just running around in the same image. Whoever came up with that idea, kudos to you. It's a great card, great idea. This one is also down significantly. We're talking about $15 in the last 3 months, all the way down to $8.92, also down 44%, which is a significant decline in the last 3 months. A good portion of the Twilight Masquerade cards are actually on a bit of a downward turn right now, so it is a good opportunity for those of you who are trying to master your set or looking to collect some Twilight Masquerade cards to pick up these cards specifically, as they are on a downward trend. And I do see Chansey rebounding. Got all these other Pokemon in this card. It's just a beautiful card, and it's very, very undervalued in my honest opinion, and should boom in the near future. So Chansey from Twilight Masquerade, also a part of my 10 cards that I would consider adding to my collection right now. Next up is Iron Hands EX from Paradox Rift. So this one over here had its playability, of course. It's a decent card. I did talk about this card earlier in the year. It is a decent looking card. Just to quickly touch on the price here, $24.39 down to about $18.51. So it's down 24.1% in the last 3 months. Also a good opportunity to buy this IR card. It's a beautiful card. Paradox Rift is not one of my favorite sets, but there are a couple of cards in there that I really like, and this one is definitely one of them. So Iron Hands EX, also a good pickup right now. Next, we've got Steelix, also from Paradox Rift, and this is one of my favorite cards from the Paradox Rift set. It is actually a really cool card. Steelix just up there in the construction site doing his thing, supporting the construction workers. I love these art cards, and I think they've done really well so far, Scarlet and Violet, in the last few sets, that is, with their illustration rares and special illustration rares, and this is definitely one of them. This one also down for the last 3 months. We're looking at $19.77 at its top, and down to $17.99, so only down about 9%, but still down, and it's a definite pickup for you guys that are trying to collect Paradox Rift, looking to invest. Of course, this is one of the cards that I feel is going to have a little bit of a boom in the future. So Steelix, also a part of the top 10 list. And the last card, but not least, is Eevee from Twilight Masquerade. A beautiful card. Just looking at the artwork here, all these Eevees hanging out together, it's just well done. One of the best cards in my opinion. Artwork cards, that is, from the Scarlet and Violet era. Looking at the price point here, we are going up from $44 to $54 in the last month, so we're up about 22% in the last month. If we look at the last 3 months, it is a bit down from $70 to that $54 mark. So This one over here, it is a card that I feel in the future should be above the $100 mark. It should be up there competing with the Magikarp. That is my honest opinion between the Eevee and Magikarp. Eevee is a much nicer looking card, and if Magikarp can reach those numbers, then so can Eevee. Twilight Masquerade is one of the best sets from the Scarlet and Violet era, up there with Paldea Evolved, competing for the #1 spot. So I do believe that Eevee is actually going to get there at one point, and it's starting to make its way there. In the last month, we see that climb here, going from that $44, $45 mark up to about that $52, $54 mark. So this is definitely a card that I would consider adding if you can pick up for those prices. Even if it's a little bit more expensive, I would still add this card because it is going to boom, in my honest opinion. So there you have it. These are the 10 cards that are set to boom in the near future. Some of them have had double-digit declines, such as 40 to 44%. Some of them are actually on a bit of an upward trend, such as Eevee going up about 10 to 20%. I think it's a good time to buy some of these cards and add them to your collection, whether you're investing or you're trying to master your sets or just looking to pick up a couple singles. These are the cards that you want to consider buying before they boom. Let me know in the comment section below if there are any other cards you feel we should be looking at and are at a relatively decent price. And as always, if you guys like this content, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. My name's TRV. You guys are the greatest, and we'll see you next time.